Hello and welcome to Time. I'm sorry, I have a bad throat. Nowadays, there's so much of pollution around. I'm so allergic to everything around me. The air has become so bad these days. So today, let me also share this that we are going to study a very relevant topic today, and that is of air pollution. We are going to understand the various causes, effects, and what can we do to prevent air pollution, because all of us are suffering as a result of it. The frequencies with which people are suffering from upper respiratory part disorders are high, they are increasing. So let's do our part in decreasing that part so that our future generations can reap some benefits. Let's see. What do we see over here? The earth on this side, the environment of the earth has become so toxic that there's hardly any greenery. The lands have become barren. Air has become toxic. So survival of any species in such environment is not possible. Whereas look at this side. The earth is in all its glory. It is completely green. The air is clean. Do we want our future generations to live in this environment or this? Right? We need to make the right choices so that our earth survives, and if our earth has a better environment, so will our future generations. I had seen this advertisement a long time back. It was about our future. It showed that people, entire families are moving about with their own oxygen mask, without which they will not be able to survive. If they step out, they have to step out with the oxygen mask. The houses are filled with specific gases, which is devoid of any gas outside, so that they can simply live in peace. They can breathe easily inside the house, but the minute they step out, they have to take those oxygen masks. What does that mean? It means that we have, due to human activities, made the environment so bad that nobody even can step out without that mask. Now, this was a very futuristic ad, but what it shows really is that due to human activities, we are increasingly nearing that kind of future. So in order to avoid it, let us first understand the problem. What is air pollution? Let's see. How do we define air pollution? So air pollution is basically the composition of atmosphere becomes different. Okay, there are variations that are getting created due to the release of harmful gases. Okay, so because we are constantly doing some activities which is releasing harmful gases, the atmosphere is changing so drastically, and that is resulting in air pollution. Now, what are the three main effects of air pollution? Let's see. Now, let us see what are the causes of air pollution. Now, it is not only due to human activities air pollution is caused. Sometimes due to some natural phenomena also air pollution can be caused. So we have two main causes of air pollution, that is natural and man-made. Okay, what do we mean by a natural cause? Basically, it is caused due to some natural phenomena. And what is the meaning of man-made? Basically, it is caused due to the various activities that are carried out by humans. Okay. Now, in what way nature plays a role here? You can see in this figure over here, there's a volcano which is erupting. Okay. Now, whenever such a phenomena occurs, okay, sometimes entire islands and the surrounding water bodies, if they are small enough, their entire surfaces get covered with a lot of fly ash. Okay. So this also causes a lot of air pollution. Okay. Now, please remember one thing, that even though a little bit of pollution is caused by nature, nature always cleans after itself. Okay, but that is not the case with humans. Humans, the amount of industrialization and other activities is causing so much of pollution, and sometimes we do nothing about it. Okay, so the man-made activities are definitely much more harmful than the natural phenomena that are occurring. Now, let us understand what are the main effects of air pollution. There are three main effects of air pollution. The first one is global warming. The second one is acid rain. And the third one is ozone depletion. Now, let us understand each one of these effects in depth and detail. But before we start with global warming, let us first try and understand what is the greenhouse effect. Unless and until we understand what is greenhouse effect, we will not understand what is global warming. So, let us understand the greenhouse effect. Now, look at the figure over here. Okay, so this is our planet, which is covered by the layer of gases. We receive radiations from the sun. Okay, daily we are receiving radiations of the sun. Some of it gets absorbed, okay, during the day, but most of it gets reflected back. Okay, now if all of this heat were to be reflected back and there was no way of trapping it on the earth, then our planet Earth would have been very cold. If it was very cold, then life on Earth would not have been possible. So, greenhouse effect is a phenomena by which heat is trapped onto the earth so that the ambient temperatures on the earth are optimal enough for life to survive. So, let us understand the definition of greenhouse effect. It is a phenomena by which what energy? Heat energy is trapped, okay? And this is basically done to maintain the temperatures on the earth's surface, alright? Now, how does that happen? So, as I said, during daytime, okay, some amount of heat is absorbed by the earth, okay, but most of it is getting reflected back. Now, during night, what happens is this re-radiated back radiations that are getting re-radiated are again getting absorbed by certain gases present in our atmosphere. Now, these gases, because they absorb this heat, they are trapping the heat on the surface of the earth, and hence these gases are called as greenhouse gases. Why are they called greenhouse gases? Because let's understand what is a greenhouse. We basically make greenhouse which are made up of glass, in which we grow plants or small shrubs in places where the temperatures outside are very harsh, the climate is very cold. So, what happens is, in these greenhouses, proper ambient temperatures, a more heated environment is created, and all of this heat is trapped inside by the structure which is made up of glass. Why? Because glass is a bad conductor of heat. So, it will not let the heat dissipate out, and in such situations the plant can survive. Because the heat is getting trapped there, it is a greenhouse. Similarly, here also the heat is getting trapped, and hence these gases are called as greenhouse gases. So, which are the different types of greenhouse gases which are doing this work? So, they are carbon dioxide, methane, ozone and water vapor. These are all the gases which are doing the work of trapping the heat. Now, because of this, the temperatures are maintained on the earth. Now, this is a natural phenomena which is there in place in order to maintain the earth's temperature. It is a very important phenomena. It is actually good. But what has happened is, due to continuous human activities, the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is increasing. Because their amount is increasing, the amount of heat that is getting trapped by them is also increasing. As a result, the temperature of the earth is slowly but steadily rising, and this is resulting in the number one effect of air pollution, and that is nothing but global warming. So, look over here. So this is basically a picture showing an effect of global warming. How does it show that? Polar bears, where do they live? They live in extremely cold climate, correct? Their habitats are basically land masses which are covered by snow or ice. They will only live in those areas. Now, because of global warming, all of this ice is melting. They are not used to such high temperatures, and yet the temperatures there are rising. So, their habitat is getting affected, and hence the numbers of these animals is decreasing. They are getting endangered. So, we are here looking at a classic example of what effects are caused due to global warming. So, how do we define global warming? It is the increase in the temperature of the Earth's atmosphere because of the increased levels of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and others, and this is resulting in global warming. Okay. Let us look at the sources and causes of global warming. The main ones are: there has been excessive use of fossil fuels. Okay, they are burnt, and an excessive amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases are being released every time a vehicle is done. So, because of this, obviously global warming has increased. We cannot even say how much amount of fossil fuels are burnt every day in our thermal power plants to create electrical energy, to create electricity. Now, remember that all these fossil fuels ultimately are carbon and hydrogen. So, whenever you are combusting them, okay, what you are obviously going to get is carbon dioxide and water vapor along with other oxides of other elements. Okay, so we have already learned that carbon dioxide and water vapor are one of the main greenhouse gases. Okay, so that is obviously increasing the levels of global warming. Along with this, the heavy industrialization, industries are continuously manufacturing units are continuously running, okay, 24/7, and their exhausts are also coming out continuously. These exhaust gases are very rich in all these greenhouse gases. Okay, so all of them is leading to high amounts of global warming. Now, we have seen all the various sources and causes of global warming. Now, there is one process which actually decreases the amount of greenhouse gases. For example, the amount of carbon dioxide can be decreased drastically by this one natural process that takes place. Can you tell me what that is? Yes, it is photosynthesis. Okay, so photosynthesis, when the green plants are photosynthesizing in order to make their food, okay, they are taking up large amounts of carbon dioxide. But what we humans are doing, again for our selfish needs, we are cutting down our trees. Deforestation is done on a very large scale in order to meet our needs. This again, instead of decreasing the greenhouse gas, is increasing it. It's leading to a cut down in the process, which will not decrease the amount of carbon dioxide. Okay, so let us now understand what are the effects of global warming, what are the effects of the various things that we have done. Okay, let's see. The first one among them is the increase in global temperatures. Okay, according to the data given by NASA, after the late 1990s, the average Earth surface temperatures has increased by almost 0.9 degrees Celsius. That's way drastic. Okay, now because of the increase in temperatures, what is happening is the glaciers are melting. All our glaciers, ice glaciers near the poles are melting because the temperatures are increasing. Now, when these glaciers melt, what will happen? The amount of water in our water bodies, that is the seas and the oceans, is rising drastically. Now, because of that rise, it is completely affecting the water cycle. The temperatures have changed, the amount of water in the water bodies has changed, and that is in effect affecting the water cycle. This results to what? This results in natural calamities occurring in various places. So, places will get flooded. There'll be flash rains and you will see heavy flooding in certain areas because of excessive rainfall. Now, flooding is not the only natural calamity that occurs. Now, please understand that the levels of water in the water bodies is increasing. That is increasing the pressure on the Earth's surface. Now, if you see, our Earth's surface is not continuous, but there are various tectonic plates which are joined together. Now, these joints are very unstable. Usually, if the Earth is allowed to be as it is, there will be no such pressure on the Earth. Okay, so the shifting or the movement of the Earth's tectonic plates will be very little or slight to create any effect on the surface. But because of the increased pressure on the Earth's surface, now these plates begin to move very drastically. This results in earthquakes. Okay. Now, this does not only create earthquakes on the land surface, but it also creates earthquakes below the ocean floor or the sea floor. Now, when there are earthquakes below the sea floor or the ocean floor, that creates big waves, which we know as tsunamis. Okay, so we are not only facing floods in certain areas, we are also facing tsunamis, earthquakes. Now, we also said that the water cycle is getting affected. So, it's not only flooding in certain areas which used to get more rainfall now will suddenly start getting less rainfall, and this will result in drought conditions. Okay, so if you see, this is a domino effect. One thing is leading to another, and this is increasing the frequency with which the natural calamities are occurring on the Earth. Let's just look at the few examples that we have seen in recent times. Okay. Now, the first figure that we are seeing over here is a phenomenon called cloudburst. Now, what is happening, as we said, that because of the change in the temperatures, it is changing the water cycle. So, some areas, excessive clouds will be there, and suddenly within a few hours, one place will receive a very heavy rainfall, and this heavy rainfall results in floods. An example of floods occurring due to cloudburst is nothing but the 2013 floods which happened in Kedarnath, one of the holy areas. In fact, a movie was also filmed on the same subject named Kedarnath. Okay, so this shows that how global warming is affecting us all. Okay, and how these social issues are now slowly coming even in the entertainment areas. Okay, now even Mumbai faced such flash floods in the year 2005. Okay, within 4 hours, entire Mumbai city was flooded and stranded. It is said that the city never sleeps, its spirit never dies, but that day the city came to a standstill because of the flash floods that happened on that day. Okay, the other examples are the Kerala floods that happened in the year 2018. Okay, so you can see this is an aerial view of how the entire area is flooded. Okay, now we were talking about earthquakes occurring below the ocean or the sea floor. Okay, so this is an example of the tsunami that occurred in the year 2004 in the Indian Ocean, and hence the areas like Chennai were affected. So you can see, because of the huge waves, the waves are so high that they are even coming onto the surface. All right, so this is just one view, but the entire coastline was affected because of this tsunami. The waves were so high that everything that came into its way was destroyed. All right. Now, there is also an example of the land earthquakes that occur due to the global warming, and one of the examples is the 2015 earthquakes that occurred in Nepal. Now, you can see over here how the entire Earth's crust is completely separated. Okay, so because of this shift, lot of buildings, monuments were completely lost on that particular day in Nepal. Okay, so let us understand that global warming is no longer an issue just for the environmentalists. It is occurring in every place, in every corner of the world. So we as people need to understand what we are doing to our planet Earth, and we need to understand how we can do our part in decreasing these effects. Okay, now let's understand the next effect of air pollution, and that is nothing but the acid rain. The first major source and cause of acid rain is the various exhaust that comes out of the industries. Now, a lot of fossil fuels are combusted. Now, these fossil fuels do not only have carbon and hydrogen in them, but they also have other elements like nitrogen and sulfur. And when they get combusted, they form oxides of nitrogen and sulfur. Now, these oxides of nitrogen and sulfur, when they go into the atmosphere and come in contact with the water vapor, they end up forming acid, which then comes down in the form of rainfall, and that is what is known as the acid rainfall, or the acid rain. Okay, so thermal power plants, combustion of fossil fuels is again one of the major source and cause of acid rain. The next source and cause of acid rain is obviously all our vehicles again are using these fossil fuels. Okay, so again, as their exhaust, the exhaust that are coming out from our vehicles is again the oxides of carbon and hydrogen, that is, so carbon dioxide comes out. Okay, a little bit of other oxides also come out, and that is again increasing the amount of acid rain that is happening. Let us understand what are the effects of acid rain. One of the major effects of acid rain, you can see this due to industrialization. Okay, these acid clouds are getting created. So that means in some nearby area, acid rain is going to happen. Now, as I said, one of the major effects of acid rain is this acid rain, when it comes down, it changes the pH of the soil. So lands tend to get barren. It affects the flora and fauna and also the monuments that are there in that area. Now, if we are to talk about monument, one of the major monument which is present in India, our very own Taj Mahal, the seventh wonder of the world, is also affected by acid rain. So if you see Taj Mahal, what it is made up of, what is the material it is made up of? Yes, it is made up of marble. And when acid rainfall happens due to the industrial pollution, due to the industries that are present in the nearby area, okay, a lot of acid rainfall happens, due to which there is a lot of corrosion that has occurred. So if you can see the before and after picture of Taj Mahal over here and how it has gotten affected over a period of years. All right. So a lot of harmful effects are there of acid rain. Let us now look at the third effect of air pollution, and that is ozone depletion. So the first source is the amount of fossil fuels that are getting combusted, and they come out in the form of oxides out of our factories and manufacturing plants. Now, remember that these fossil fuels, along with carbon and hydrogen, also have large amounts of nitrogen and sulfur in them. And hence, when they undergo combustion, there are also oxides of nitrogen and sulfur that are coming out in the effluents. Now, in the atmosphere, they come in contact with water vapor and they form acids. Now, these acids will further on form acid clouds, okay, and they will come down in the form of acid rain. Okay, so one of the major reasons is this. Also remember, here you have to remember that they are oxides of nitrogen and sulfur. The second most important source is the amount of fuels that we combust on a daily basis for our vehicles. So through the vehicles also, all these oxides of nitrogen and sulfur come out, and hence this is also one of the leading reasons why acid rain is caused. Now, let's look at the effects of acid rain. Now, if you see Here they have shown an industrial plant through which the exhausts are coming out. So that means your oxides of nitrogen and sulfur are coming out, and further on they are forming the acid clouds. That means the nearby area will have acid rainfall. Now what happens due to acid rainfall? What happens is the acid rainfall will come down. It will affect the flora and the fauna. That means the plant life and the animal life of the area. It will also affect the lands. The lands will get barren. Its ability to for the crops or the plants to grow in that land will decrease, and hence slowly but surely it will become barren. Now it also affects the monuments that are there in that area. Now one of the most important example for us is in India, we have one of the 7 wonders of the world, and that is nothing but Taj Mahal. Now, if you see, what is Taj Mahal made up of? Taj Mahal is made up of marble. Now, due to the industries in the nearby area, again, a lot of acid rainfall occurs. Now, these acids react with the calcium carbonate that is there in the marble, and that is resulting in the corrosion of Taj Mahal. So, if you see the before and after pictures of Taj Mahal, you will see that what it was almost 10 or 20 years ago, it's not the same now. Okay, even though it is beautiful till date, but slowly but surely that corrosion effects have set in. So we have to do a lot in order to maintain this structure. So there should be a lot of regulations on the industrial area or the industries that are present near Taj Mahal, so that we can do our bit in maintaining our monument and still having our 7th wonder of the world. Now let us look at another effect of air pollution, and that is ozone depletion. Now, look at the first picture. What do you see? These are nothing but your deodorant sprays. They have aerosols in them. Most of these aerosols contain chlorofluorocarbon gases. Now, these gases are very light, so they rise high above in the atmosphere, and they react with ozone and result in the depletion of ozone layer. Okay, the second most important reason why ozone depletion is occurring is the old refrigerators and air conditioners. Okay, in the old refrigerators and air conditioners, they used to use chlorofluorocarbon gases, which used to cause a lot of ozone depletion. Nowadays new technology has come in, which contain hydrofluorocarbons, because of which the amount of ozone depletion has become less due to this particular reason. Now, let us understand what are the effects of ozone depletion. Now, look over here. What you can see is on the Antarctic region, which is one of the poles, okay, this blue or purple area is signifying that the ozone layer has become very thin, and this is known as ozone depletion. Now, what does this mean? In return, the strong ultraviolet radiations on the sun are coming down onto the earth unfiltered, as a result of which this is the area near the poles, right? So the ice glaciers will now obviously melt at a faster rate because strong ultraviolet radiations are coming down. So this in turn is also increasing the effect of global warming. Okay, so all these effects of air pollution are connected to one another. Now, let us understand how this ozone depletion occurs. So, in the atmosphere, in this area, you can see the ozone layer. When the ultraviolet radiations are coming down, its ozone layer helps to decrease the intensity of the ultraviolet radiation, and hence the radiations that come down on the earth are not so harmful. But when ozone depletion occurs, you can see in this area, okay, the ozone has become very, very less, because of which the radiations are coming down unfiltered. Now, this is resulting in a lot of harmful effects. Okay, so let us discuss one of the effects, and that would be see, the ultraviolet radiations. If any animal is exposed to ultraviolet radiations, they will penetrate your skin. They have the capacity to react with your DNA and alter it or destroy it in such a manner that the long-term harmful effects will be that skin cancers are possible. So, a lot of skin problems, skin cancer, cataract, okay, eyes get affected because of the harmful ultraviolet radiation. Okay, understood this? Now, sunburn is one of the effects that definitely occurs, and hence most of your mothers would say, please apply. Another effect of ozone depletion is, as I said, these ultraviolet radiations are coming down unfiltered, so it is definitely affecting your skin. So if you do not apply any protection and go out in the sun, your skin is bound to get hurt. Skin burn will occur, okay? So the redness that occurs, the pigmentation on the skin changes, okay? It darkens because of the sunburn that happens. And that's why you will always find your mothers worrying about you and telling you that please apply sunscreen and then only step out, correct? Now, another interesting trivia. You are all aware of the brand Ray-Ban, okay? They produce the glasses, Ray-Ban glasses, okay? Now, why do we always wear them and go out? What is the point? Understand the name Ray-Ban, okay? So, what does it mean? Means those glasses are able to ban or stop all these harmful rays from coming to your eyes, coming onto your eyes directly, okay? It is banning the rays, these harmful ultraviolet radiations, and the name Ray-Ban, okay? So, you can connect with this, correct? So, you understand how very prevalent this problem is and how all of us are suffering as a result of this. Let's understand how we can prevent the effects, harmful effects of air pollution. Now, let's see how we can bring about prevention of acid rain and global warming. First thing is, instead of using transport vehicles that are dependent on fossil fuels, we can start using electric cars, okay, which depend on electricity. So that much of fossil fuel combustion will be less, and as a result, the amount of these greenhouse gases as well as the oxides of nitrogen and sulfur which are given out will also be less. The next way by which we can do this is by using or depending more on solar energy. Our dependence on solar energy needs to increase because we as a country are very rich when it comes to the amount of sunlight we receive all the year round. So, the more we develop technology that is based on solar energy, it not only means that much less amount of money we are putting into buying or importing fossil fuels from other countries. So, our economy is helped, but at the same time, the amount of, again, the oxides of carbon, sulfur and nitrogen will decrease. This is definitely a very clean technology, okay? So, our environment also gets helped. It's a bi-directional win-win situation. So, as a country, we must definitely look at such renewable sources of energy such as solar energy, tidal energy, wind energy, geothermal energy, which can produce energy for us, okay, rather than using non-renewable sources of energy like fossil fuels. Now, how this will help us further? We can actually create technology so that all these vehicles, the power that is created, the electrical energy that is created, we can actually create that electrical energy with the help of the renewable sources of energy rather than fossil fuels. So, what we are doing is, we are cutting down on the emissions of the greenhouse gases on both these counts, and hence reducing the harmful effects of air pollution both the sides. Alright. Now, the other ways in which we can prevent acid rain and global warming are by doing afforestation, planting or growing more trees. These plants and trees will not only consume a lot of carbon dioxide while doing the process of photosynthesis, but as a byproduct, they also give us more oxygen. okay, which we definitely require, correct? The other way is in our transport vehicles, instead of having other fossil fuels like petrol or diesel, if we have more transport vehicles that are dependent on CNG or compressed natural gas. Now, this fuel is considered to be a much cleaner fuel than petrol and diesel, because the byproducts that are created by this is only carbon dioxide and water vapor, which are less harmful in terms of the other oxides that get created, okay? So, if our technology has more CNG, our transport vehicles has more CNG, then also we are to some extent cutting down the emissions of the other gases, okay? So, we have seen how industrialization is increasing the harmful effects and is affecting our environment so much, is increasing the amount of air pollution. But at the same time, industries are required, manufacturing units are required, without which the economic development of the country is not possible. But in order to decrease the amount of emissions coming out of these industries, we need to have some technology in place. We need to take various steps in order to curb these emissions. What are they and how do we go about it? Let's see. Now, in this case, look at these old factories. Look at the amount of emissions coming out of them. These are the old factories on whom not many regulations were there. No such technology was there in place, so which could cut down the amount of oxides of nitrogen, sulfur or carbon that was coming out. But now we do have a technology, and that is nothing but the scrubber. Now, how does the scrubber work? These scrubbers are attached to the chimneys. Now, what happens is, from here the gaseous emissions come inside. From here, lime water, that is calcium hydroxide, is sprayed in with a lot of pressure. So, the oxides of nitrogen and sulfur interact with the lime water and they form salt solutions, and hence that will settle down. The emissions which are coming out are now devoid of oxides of nitrogen and sulfur, which in turn will result in prevention of acid rain. So, let us now look at the industries which are now fitted with these chimneys, which are now fitted with these scrubbers. So, this is what it looks like, and look at the difference. Can you see any large amount of emissions here? And look at the emissions here, right? A lot of difference, okay? So, small technologies also make a lot of difference. Small steps taken also make a lot of difference in preventing or cutting down the amount of emissions coming out of these factories. Now, there is one more pollutant which is called as carbon monoxide. Now, this carbon monoxide is produced when carbon or the fuels do not get enough amount of oxygen. So, instead of producing carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide is produced, that is CO. Now, what happens is, carbon monoxide is even more dangerous and poisonous than carbon dioxide, okay? We do know that there are long-term harmful effects with regards to carbon dioxide, but carbon monoxide will have immediate harmful effects on us. Why is that so? It's because carbon monoxide, if you breathe in large amounts, your red blood cells have more affinity towards them than oxygen. So, the red blood cells will latch on to carbon monoxide and will no longer take oxygen. That means you will breathe in, you will take oxygen, but your cells will not be able to take it, and hence your respiration stops and it is very fatal. Okay, so let's see what can be done in order to reduce the emissions of carbon monoxide. Okay, here you can see what is called as a catalytic converter. Okay, so a catalytic converter has a catalyst inside, a substance, okay, which will help convert these oxides, okay, this lower oxides into higher oxides. So carbon monoxide can be converted to carbon dioxide and then released. So the emissions can be reduced. At the same time, if there is nitrogen dioxide or nitrogen oxide present, that can be converted to nitrogen, which is not harmful at all, if you can see. Okay, so here you can see all these exhaust pipes are connected to catalytic converter, and hence no such harmful emissions can come out. Now with this entire part of the chapter, let's understand that it is our social responsibility to prevent air pollution. Each one of us has to do our little bit in order to sustain the environment that we are living in, so that our future generations will also have clean and good air to breathe in. All right? Thank you. Hello and welcome to Time. Just look at the bottle of water over here. Okay, there's some water filled inside it. That means it is occupying some space inside the bottle. At the same time, I can feel some mass of it. If I'm holding an empty bottle and if I'm holding a filled bottle, there's a difference in the mass, correct? So I can feel the difference. So there's some mass associated with it. Okay. Look at this. This pen is also occupying some space. At the same time, when I'm holding it, it also has some mass. Look at this balloon. It has some air inside it. Okay, this air is again occupying this much space inside the balloon. It also has some mass. But when I let it go, there's no more air. It's all dissipated outside. So now it's occupying a different space. Correct? So all these substances, they all have mass and they are occupying space. These all substances which are there around us, we included substances inside us, they all are matter. And hence, today we are going to study the chapter of classification of matter. Let us look at some more examples of matter. Look over here. This candle, this liquid inside the bottle, the towel, the paste, everything is matter. When you're coming to and fro in your school bag, okay, everything that you hold that has mass, okay, is matter. So how do we define matter? It's a simple definition. Matter has mass and occupies space. Now that you have understood what is matter, please answer this question. Then what is matter made up of? If every one of us is matter, everything around us is matter, then what is its basic constituent? Okay, the answer is that matter is made up of very tiny particles, and these particles are called as molecules. So whether it is one molecule of that substance or many molecules of that substance, the properties of that substance remains the same. What I mean to say is, consider this water inside the bottle. Whether it is one droplet of water or this entire bottle filled with water, the properties of water remain the same. From its one molecule to many molecules, the properties still remain the same. And now that you have understood what is matter, let us understand what is matter really made up of. What are its constituent particles? Well, matter is made up of really tiny particles called as molecules. And these molecules will retain all the properties of matter. What does that mean? It means that let us take an example of water, that whether I am talking about just a droplet of water or a bulk of a liquid that is filled in water, or a bulk of liquid that is present in our oceans and rivers, okay, it still retains all the properties of water. Okay. Now that you have understood matter, let me ask you, what is matter made up of? What are the constituent particles of matter? If everything in and around us is matter, then what it is made up of? Well, matter is made up of really tiny particles called molecules. What are the properties of molecules? Well, molecules are such that whether I am talking about just one molecule of water or a bulk of liquid filled in bottle, the properties of water still remain the same. That means that molecules will retain all the properties of matter. Okay. Now, let us define a molecule. The smallest particle, that is the keyword, retain all properties of matter. Now, these molecules exist in different forms so that the properties of matter changes. We just saw that air is quite different from the water filled in the bottle, and that water again is quite different from this pen I am holding right now. Now, why is that so? That is because these molecules are arranged in different manner in all these different substances, and hence they have different properties. Let's look at the first figure. Over here you can look at these molecules. They are really clumped together. The space between them is really less. Okay. In the next figure you can see the space is much more. The molecules are far apart. Whereas in the third figure, the space increases even farther. Okay. Now, why is there the difference in space in all of these three different arrangements? The reason is in between all the molecules, there exists a force of attraction. Now, depending on how much force of attraction is there, these molecules either will be very near to each other or they'll be really far apart. So, in the first case, intermolecular force of attraction means the force of attraction between the two molecules is really high, and hence these molecules are very near to each other. Whereas in the second case, the force of attraction decreases by a little bit, and hence these molecules move away. Whereas in the third case, the forces of attraction between these molecules is very low, because of which the space between these molecules increases. So, let us define these properties because of which the arrangement of molecules in these three different substances is different. The first property is intermolecular forces of attraction. What did we define it as? We said that intermolecular force of attraction is a force of attraction which is present in between two molecules. Understood? The next one is intermolecular space. The next property is that of intermolecular spaces. What do you mean by intermolecular space? The distance in between the two molecules is defined as intermolecular space. Now, based on these two properties, there are three types of molecular arrangements that you can see. Now, in the first case, since the force of attraction is really high and the space is really less, this will become solid. For example, look at this pen. Okay, all these solids, their molecules are near to each other because of really strong force of attraction. Okay, in the next case, the space is increasing and the force of attraction is decreasing slightly than solids. This is the case which is liquids. Okay, so all the water molecules, okay, will show, all the liquid molecules will show slightly less force of attraction and more intermolecular space. Whereas in the third instance, okay, if you look at this third figure, the force of attraction is very less, because of which these molecules move far apart. There is nothing that is binding them together. The force of attraction is almost negligible, and hence the space is very high. Because of these are considered as gaseous substances or gases. So, based on the molecular arrangement, we can see that matter exists in three forms, that is solids, liquids and gases. Now, let me ask you a question. If you look at this pen over here, can you see anything moving inside it? No, correct? But if you look at molecular level, its molecules still undergo motion. Even though you cannot see it at molecular level, molecular motion occurs. Now, this motion, if it were not in place, then the molecule will cease to exist. Without molecular motion, nothing can exist, whether it will be solid, liquid, or gaseous substance. So, let us look at the different kinds of molecular motion shown by molecules in solids, liquids, and gases.